It was a lovely goal by Marino, if I'll be honest. Lovely touch from Kai Havertz, and then the finish. I didn't think it was great in the Newcastle game. Was I know that we won it
again, Max Dowman.
Yeah, Max Dowman come on and a really interesting thing about that is that when we was talking to Jason Tinder, we was talking about Joe Linton, and that because they converted him into a striker from a striker to a midfield player. He was saying that pace, power, strength, running with the ball, he was elite at. Finishing, not very good. So that's why they put him into a midfield player. And they were saying how physically strong he is against everybody else. And Max Dowman's just at 15 years of age done him we comes back into our hotel and I mean we get really on well with Jay. We had we was having conversations all that, so I felt I could do it. He was at the back and then I was shouting out, "You got done by a 15-year-old," you know what I mean? And he's got and when I spoke to Kieran Trippier, he went, "I can't believe he's 15. Could not believe that he's 15." He said, "I've not seen nothing like it at 15."
See, I've got to say this, right, I watched him and I thought, wow. And I watched him at 13 and 14 and thought, God, he looks good. But you know when you can't get carried away until he gets into the men's game? Because I've seen Dan Crowley and J. Manuel Thomas, Jack Wilshere and all that. People that make me laugh because these rival fans, I said, I put out a tweet and it went a little bit like West, as sometimes they do. And I put out a little clip of me on TikTok and stuff in the YouTube. And everyone was ranting and raving about it because I said rival fans are rattled. Because they are judges, right? And they prove to me why they are. Because, do you think we care? You forget Michael Owen? You forget Wayne Rooney, do you? You forget all that? And all I said was, throw me some names. Who was as good as Max Dowman at 15? And everyone interpreted that as Max Dowman's better than anyone I've ever seen at 15. Now, I didn't actually say that. Now, I've got to be honest, he probably is, if I'm honest. Because I didn't see Messi at 15 and Ronaldo at 15. Because it's quite accessible now to watch him at 13 years old if you want to in the youth setup, right? However, I have not seen someone in the men's game that has come on and been the absolute star and by far the best player. Now, Ethan Nwaneri is unbelievable. I've got massive lot of time for him. I think he's going to be an absolute star. I wasn't seeing Saka doing this at 15. And I wasn't seeing, the lads that have come through doing it at 15. I wasn't seeing the lads that haven't made it doing it at 15. The Joe Willocks of this world, the Maitland-Niles of this world, the Smith Rose of this world, the Chuba Akpoms, the Eddie Nketiahs. They weren't doing that at 15. But neither was Saka. Neither was some of the youngsters.
Jack Wilshere wasn't doing it at 15.
Jack Wilshere wasn't doing it at 15. I didn't see Rooney at 15. Kevin did. I know he saw him at 14. Yeah. He said he was unbelievable, right? So maybe Rooney's one of them. But do you know what? I don't care. If it's Rooney and Messi and Ronaldo and Owen, I'll take that because they turned out to be bloody good. So if they're the names that we're putting Max Dowman in the same category as at 15, we've got a potential star on our hands here, man. So I've got a couple of questions for you, bro, right? About Max Dowman.
Yeah.
First question is what happens next with him? And my second question is, do you have any worries or concerns about him and how Mikel Arteta uses him?
Well, that's a good question. I think, first and foremost, I had the pleasure yesterday. His mum and dad come up to me and introduced themselves. They said, "Oh, we're Max Dowman's mum and dad." And we ended up having a chat for about an hour, about 45 minutes. And, open and honest and all that. He has never ever played in the same age group as that he's in. He's always played above. So he come to Arsenal as a 5-year-old, was in the under 7s, then the 9s, the 10s, and that. So he's never played at his same age group. When he plays for England, he's never played in the under 15s. He's always played the under 17s or under 18s or now the under 21s or whatever. He's never played in an age group of his age.
That's got to be a good thing. That's got to be a good thing for him
incredible.
Physically and
It's incredible. It's incredible. I'm an August born, right? And I was funny enough talking to him about this. So I was the youngest in my year, right? So when I was playing school football, county football and all that, I was a year above. But when I was playing going to professional clubs and all that, I was playing a year below. Do you see what I'm saying at school? So I was I was the oldest. But I never was a regular in the school team, county team, and all that, like because I was. Everybody said I was a little bit slight. I wasn't physically strong enough. I'd be playing on the wide. I was a winger for my school team but when I played the year below, I was central midfield. You know what I mean? But because physicality, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't there. Like you know what I mean? But this kid is. You know what I mean? Like. And what I see, and I said to him, like, you know, the biggest compliment that I can give him is obviously he's got talent. We all know that and everything like that. But the one thing that he's got is the confidence to just say, give me the ball, Odegaard. Give me the ball. Let me have it, dude. I think that's, you know, not even in his shell a bit. Now, I get that. He's been training with the team for a while and everything like that. So he gets you. I think it's unbelievable. He's never played wing in his life. Until the other day. That's the first time he's been a winger. Right? So I think that the plan is to play him there because physically I don't think he's going to be quite strong enough for the midfield. But eventually he's going to be a central midfield player without a shadow of a doubt. I have to say his dad was the way Mikel's teaching was looking after him. He had nothing but praise for him. Problems that he's got, Dan, is that he's still at school.
Yeah.
They was actually saying that he may have to have security go to the school because it's like, you know, he got 100,000 followers from that Newcastle game to the next game.
Wow.
So it's, you know, like that's our bigger thing that he done. So his mum and dad want him to be grounded, want him to have an education, everything like that. But he does 3 days at school, 2 days at Howland. And you know, at this moment in time, you know, the parents are lovely couple, were very grounded, want him to be, you know, I said, is school important because like the kid's going to make it, whatever. And they said, yeah, we want him to have an education and everything like that. Mad that so like they might have to take someone into security at the school to look after him. I don't know what they're going to do about this at the moment. When you ask what the future is for him and all that, at this moment in time, he doesn't know if he's involved in the Emirates Cup or not. Won't know until tomorrow when they go back into training. So it's all up in the air. I'd imagine that I said to him, I think it's a certainty being the Emirates Cup. I think, like, you know, and you know, I think the biggest compliment I can give him, and also is against Spurs, they doubled up on him. You know, so listen, is he good enough now, Dan? Yeah, he is good enough, in my opinion. I wouldn't hesitate to say, Saka, you play the first 70 minutes and then bring him on for the last 10, 15, 20 minutes. I know that player, like, we all want signings and all that, like, but what I've seen now...
You're good enough, you're old enough, right?
Yeah, in my opinion, yes. Obviously, you've got to be a little bit... what's the word, like?
You got to be careful.
Careful with him and all that. And I think his dad said on the K, like, you know, if he gets 10 games next season, that'd be unbelievable. 10 appearances. So...
That's humble, man.
But you know, I said at the end of it, I think you may even get more than that. I think that he's going to be involved. I said to his mum and dad, I said, I think he's going to be involved. I can't not see it. I think he's that good, like, you know.
I thought he was unbelievable. And look, individually, we all saw the technical ability. But do you know what I loved the most, more than anything, actually, more than his technical ability, was he got kicked and he loved it.
Yeah.
He weren't rolling around crying, pointing his finger up at the ref. He got kicked and he got kicked and he got kicked. And Joe Linton basically come off the field laughing with him, going, mate, I couldn't get near you. And you could just see the conversation. And he just smiled. He just shook his hand and walked off. And I thought, you are class, bruv. You have got something about you aura-wise. And look, I don't think he's going to be a Lamine Yamal or a Messi. I'm not going to go that mad. I think he's going to be a Max Dowman, right? Let's just see what he is about. But he's got everything in his locker to be an unbelievable talent. And what I liked about him, in terms of his technical ability, was his fearlessness and his confidence, but his drive forward and the fact that he didn't care about having a go. And, you know, sometimes you get sort of 16, 17-year-olds that get onto the kind of, you know, situation of, I shouldn't shoot. I'm only 15. I'll give it the word of God. He didn't care about that. He didn't.
No.
Yeah, I'm saying he just smashed it. And I loved him. Look at this, Chris Lee. Dan, like and subscribe, Pots. What's he talking about here? Like and subscribe, people. Anyway, but no,
I'm laughing at your mum's one, but let's hope we don't learn off number 29, like that. I mean, so.
Well, can we move to him next? Because I thought he was absolutely embarrassing the other day against Tottenham. I'm sorry, I know you're a fan. I thought he was awful. I thought it was rolling around on the floor, skidding on his backside, putting his hand up. Ref, that must have been a foul. Taking pathetic decisions, poor passing, lackluster, walking around a pitch. I think it was like a 2 out of 10 in terms of ratings. I thought he was that bad, Judge.
Shocking performance. Martinelli was just as bad.
Yeah.
Saka as well, really. They didn't get no creativity. Odegaard, no creativity whatsoever. Listen, what the greatest thing about, and I'll have an argument with anybody about these things, is that when you're in these games, there's no pressure on them, like as far as winning and that. So I'm watching that game and going, right, what am I seeing? I'll tell you what I see in that game, right? I see, and this is what worries me, and people go, oh, it's only a friendly and all that, like, you know, right. So time to experiment a little bit in a friendly, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean, right? Our system is Odegaard gets the ball, doesn't matter how far he is or where he is in the pitch, he gets the ball and he feeds Saka. If he doesn't feed Saka, he feeds the other Martinelli out wide, right? Okay. And what happens is they get blocked off, and he continues to do the same thing. Give it to Saka. Instead of pretending to give it to Saka and driving for himself or something like that. We haven't got no one like that, right? In the game against Spurs, let's go there because that's the game to look at like that. Non-existent, our front three, because they never got no service, right? When they did, they were locked down by Tottenham's tactical defences, like other teams have done in the past over the last year or so, like, yeah. Declan Rice was non-existent for... you know what I mean? Like, just wasn't there in that game. Like, you know, there was 3 times when the ball was pinged into him, and if he plays it with his left foot, Martinelli's one-on-one. I'm not saying he'd do anything from it, but one-on-one. He can't do that. He has to come inside with the ball and then pass it. So when people go, it's only a friendly and things like that, I get that. So if it's only a friendly, why are you not experimenting? Why are you not putting Odegaard out on the left and Declan Rice on the right to see if that could work? You know what I mean? Like, or something different. I'm looking at these 3 games. I wasn't excited by any of them, Dan. I wasn't excited last season by a lot of our performances. You know what I mean? I thought, nothing's changed.
Can we come on to that then? Because there's a few more individual players I will mention after this question. You said you're not being excited by it, and it's the elephant in the room question. Mikel, if I'm honest with you, I have made it very clear for many times, and I'll say it once again, I don't think he should be here. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's a manager that's going to take us to the next level. There's no point me going on about that because that's not telling anybody anything new, right? You know that. The whole chat know that. The whole social media know that I ain't a fan of old Super Duper Mick. He just ain't for me, right? But he's our manager this season, and we have to provide all we can from board and ownership level. And as a fan base, we need to do all we can to try and support the club to get across the line. I don't think it's going to happen. I've accepted I don't think we're winning anything this season. And I think that he'll be gone by the end of the year. That's my brutally honest opinion if you want that, right? However, that's of course not how I want the season to end. And I still think that we could potentially, with a couple more signings, have a real good chance of doing something. Right. I haven't seen anything in the last 3 games to suggest that he has learned that he's going to change his style. It has been stubborn Mikel, keep the ball, possession-based, play rubbish, come out in a press conference and say you're really excited about what you're seeing. No, not good enough.
Totally agree. Like, the left side is as dysfunctional as a family of thieves. You know what I mean? Like, it is unreal. Like, you know what I mean? And the reason is every time Saka gets the ball, right, from Odegaard, right, he's got Ben White sprinting down the side of it, like so giving him the option. The left side doesn't have that. The left side's converting into a mid. Like, when there's any time as the left back going and helping, doing a dummy run or anything like that, doesn't happen, right? So you've got Martin. So as the fullback is Marky Martinelli, he knows, right, I'll take him on, but he knows that, like, and his defenders are good enough to be able to handle that. You know, someone said to me the other day, we haven't looked nowhere near as good without Xhaka in there. Well, that's 2 years gone now. 2 years gone. We're playing a right-sided midfield player on the left, and we're playing a left-sided midfielder on the right. And here we are in the third game of the competition or friendly, still the same old sort of stuff. We're not changing it around. And it is a worry for me, Dan. I don't care what you say. Now, we've got another 2 games to come before playing Man United. Things can change. You know, Gyökeres come on. One, let's get this right. He's not fit. He was nowhere near fit because he hasn't trained. We know that. Like, went and watched the close, you know, like the open training session, like, you know, and you can see that there's good glimpses and all that, Dan, but he's got a lot of work on him. He's got still nowhere near fit enough. But even in that game, when you have a look back at it, there was 4 or 5 times, again, Havertz gets the ball, and I looked at him and I said, look where he is. Wide right. Look where he is. Left of the penalty box. Right, you know. Gyökeres is not going to do that, Dan. So something's got to change.
No,
something
I mean,
you
know what?
Change.
My dad said this. Big up to my dad. My dad said this. He said, when we watched him, right, we both watched him together on holiday. I don't know if it was AC Milan or Newcastle, but there was a moment where Saka's got the ball on the right and Ben White has already won the ball back, so he's not in an overlap position. Saka is on the right-hand side, and our striker, Kai Havertz, goes and overlaps him instead of getting in the box. That tells me everything I need to know about the fact that Kai Havertz is not good enough to be a centre-forward for Arsenal to win us anything. He'll be fine as a squad rotational player. I'd sell him as quickly as I can. He'd be gone in the summer if it's me. This, for me, is all the reasons why we need Victor Gyökeres. And he said, he said, Victor Gyökeres wouldn't do that. He'd run into the box and he'd go and get his head on it, or he'd go and get his foot on it, and he'd have a go at goal. And that is why I'm now relying so much heavily on Victor Gyökeres. But I'll tell you this now, Mikel Arteta needs to change his style. He needs to change the style if we believe, because otherwise Gyökeres is going to stand there and do what and be like, well, you got to get the ball to me, because the creativity is zilch, bruv. And the left hand side is stale. Ødegaard, I think we might need Eze in now to drop Ed Ødegaard, because he is doing my absolute brains in. He had a glimpse against Newcastle. I thought, oh, hang on, is he back? No, he's not. He's back to his usual tricks against Tottenham, flicking it over, doing that stupid loop pass every time. It's just not working, man. We've got to change it up, bruv. It was so predictable. And, you know, people say to me, what have you learned from this pre-season? That. Absolutely zero, I've learned. I've learned that Zubimendi might improve us and Gyökeres we might need. But I've learned that our attack ain't good enough. Our left-hand side is stayed as last season, and we need a striker. And let's be real. I said this to my dad as well. If I would have said to you last season, we're playing Tottenham at the weekend, Lee. All right, what's the team? We ain't got Timber, we ain't got Partey, and we ain't got Gabriel. We're trying to play Havertz back up top again, and Martinelli's under form, and so is Ødegaard. You would have probably gone, well, we ain't going to win then. But all of a sudden, we're playing this team. We're expecting to win 3 or 4-0 against Tottenham. We're not going to. Low block, every single game, low block, no answer about it. Low block, can't break down a low block. And he comes out in a press conference and says, I've been really impressed by what I've seen. Been really impressed.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? Like, then no one there in to question him, Dan, you know, at the end of the day, because you're not allowed to. So that's a fact. So I've seen it from my own eyes. But what I will say about that is that, you know, like the problem that you've got at this moment in time is that there is no other. The system is there. He believes in that system. He's not going to change it. I don't think he is going to change it.